Greetings, fellow Wastelanders, and welcome to my second Finch Farm build in Fallout 4. Finishing this build has been quite the journey. It was first mostly built on my PS4, which died, then I finished decorating on the PS5, only to find, even with this powerful hardware, there is still just some crashing you can't prevent. This build represents 3.5 size bars worth of building, so it is not the most stable settlement in my game. Still, it is better than my first Finch Farm, which crashes if you look at it funny. This build was done using the Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition with no building mods. I do, however, have Creation Club skins and clothing installed. Our first stop is at the house that comes with the settlement, the Finch Farm family home. You cannot scrap the structure, and I appreciated its lived-in look, so I decided to just decorate the interior with the signs I found scattered across the settlement, with some additional junk objects. I had originally wanted to put even more junk in here, which is why there's an empty shelf over one of the beds, but after many crashes, I decided to stop before I made the settlement more unstable. While you cannot scrap the house, you sure can barnacle other structures against it. I decided to create an area for the traveling merchants, such as Cricket and Trash Can Carla, to hang out in when they visit. Unfortunately, I miscalculated one thing: where the Brahmin would hang out. So they frequently wind up standing on the table I had set up for the merchants to dine on. Speaking of Brahmin, you'll note them getting in my way as I try to exit this area, hence this weird little walk I'm doing. Darn Brahmin! Still, I love using this structure to bring the merchants to my settlements and add some extra life.
The only way you get on this job is when everyone's out to kill.
Don't eye the Brahmin if you got any sense.
On the other side of the Finch house, I added in the generator room for the ground level of the settlement. I pictured this as a communal area where residents of the settlement can work together to keep the generator maintained and cook food outside during their breaks. Next to the generator is the robot workshop. A lot of my robot provisioners come through Finch Farm, so I imagined this would serve as a sort of way station for them where they could get a bit of a tune-up before heading deeper into the Commonwealth. The practical reason for this is that the robot provisioners often lose all their armor and weapons and attachments, so you have to rebuild them, and this gave me a convenient way to do so. Upstairs is settler housing and a small patio with a view. Unfortunately, by the time I was decorating the settlement, I had already gone over 3 size bars. The result is that this living area is a bit more minimalist in decor compared to what I would normally like to do. This is also why there is no door to this living area. Outside, behind the robot workshop, we have 2 water purifiers. These purifiers were built in the water nearby, then pillar glitched into this area. I always love the way these imposing structures look in the ground, so they are both functional and decorative, a wonderful combo in this game. Being a farm, this settlement is also going to need plenty of fertilizer, so naturally we have a Brahmin pen. Behind that is a backup purifier in the water in case something happens to the other 2. Watching over this part of the settlement is a security tower. I wanted to build a weird looking ramshackle tower, and this fit the bill. I also wanted it to act as housing for the guards and a lookout point. The structure is inspired by a combination of a few different towers I've seen on YouTube. It's also full of heavy lasers and missile turrets to ward off any invaders. This patch of farmland comes with the settlement. I really would have preferred to move all the plants and have the farmers work elsewhere, but even if you do, the characters still perform the farming animation in this spot, so I left it alone, and then I just built some old busted looking gates around it for a bit of visual texture. Next up, we have the entrance to the Highline Market. I named this after the Highline Park in New York City, which was built on former elevated train tracks. Since this base area leads to the elevated marketplace, I found it appropriate. The vendor here also acts as an information booth, and we have a small resting area for visitors.
Yeah?
This area also features a guard post, since someone has to keep an eye on those nasty super mutants nearby. Alright, that's it for the first level. Let's head on up to the Highline Market. Welcome to the Highline Market, where you can eat, drink, shop, and maybe get you and your power armor fixed up. The main watering hole on the Highline is the Rusty Spoon, named after a real-life business I found online. Here, settlers can get drinks and light snacks. The structure sits at the very edge of the settlement's build borders, so it was a bit of a challenge at times to get this structure completed. Upstairs are the living quarters for the Rusty Spoon owner and one other settler. The interior of this floor also helps show off the irregular shape of the structure. I love incorporating angles into my builds to get away from looking too boxy. At this point, my game glitched on me, so I had to reload and pick up the tour from there. We'll continue after the fade. And we're back! One of the main features of this marketplace is a row of shops for general goods, armor, and weapons. In my roleplay scenario, these vendors can also fix up and modify your weapons and armor as you need, and of course, if you have the caps. There is a living area and guard station on top of the bus. Unfortunately, I completely skipped that when I was recording this video, so my apologies for that. Inside the bus, there are also other beds for settlers to sleep on as well. Next up is the clothing shop Dolce Banana. For those who have followed my builds for a while now, you'll know I love using funny names for businesses, and this one was one I found online, a knockoff of the real-life chain Dolce & Gabbana. I first used this name in my Vault 88 build, and now there's another location for this chain. This vendor has a nice house next door to the shop, but oddly, she has a tendency to fall through the floor of the overpass down below, where she hangs out for a little while before walking back up, only to fall again at some point. For those curious, yes, that was the yelp you heard earlier. Next door is an open recreation area and a place for the overpass generator, complete with a ghost lifting weights. This piece here was inspired by a build I once saw online but could never find again. It is a table with file cabinets and a wall cabinet all glitched together into a weird industrial bed/storage unit. I really like the way this came out. I love having branches of the Atom Cat's garage at my settlements, and this one is no different. Here, two cool cats help maintain and build up power armor for customers and the Finch Farm settlement itself. Upstairs is the living area for the Atom Cats, complete with a kitchen and a wonderful view. And behold, more Brahmin shenanigans. Here, we have the clinic/chem shop. There's a nice waiting area outside, and we have a doctor inside, along with another doctor who runs the Phoropter. Again, I wanted to build an oddly shaped structure, fitting pieces together you normally don't see joined up. This structure uses a combination of bits from the wood, warehouse, barn, metal, and scaffolding sections.
Yeah.
Upstairs is a patio area for the doctors to cook, hang out, and eat, with a small apartment/office inside. You may wonder where the other doctor sleeps, since there's only one bed there. In my roleplay scenario, I figure one doctor always sleeps downstairs and another sleeps upstairs, and they alternate. The point of having someone downstairs is to keep an eye on the clinic at night. It may be the post-apocalyptic world, but when nature calls, you still have to answer, and thus we have these two bathrooms here. Visitors and residents alike can use this area, along with the washing stations next to them. Finally, we have the main restaurant on the Highline. I'm going to let you pronounce the name for yourself and have a little giggle. It's actually named after a real life business, believe it or not. Go ahead and Google it. I built this structure as a bit of a homage to the noodle shop seen at the beginning of the film Blade Runner. However, instead of being a noodle bar that people could sit at, this is sort of a combination noodle shop and buffet.
Hi, how are you?
And that is the end of the tour of my second Finch Farm build. Thank you all for joining me on this tour. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. Stay safe out there, Wastelanders.